How do? Bit of a grey one today, but you know, that is okay. We've had a couple of nice days, so as ever, there are so many things to talk about with the barn pot country that is Britain. One of them, and I've been at a supermarket today, is the old situation with our inflation. And you know, I just wonder, do you believe what the authorities are saying in terms of where our inflation is at? Or do you think they're playing silly buggers again and saying it's lower than it actually is? Because, you know, obviously we've got the highest energy costs in the world. Yay, go net zero. And water rates have gone up, I think, around 40%. Remember that back in the day of my parents' era, you didn't have to pay for water because we had a population that was manageable for our resources and there was plenty to go round. But most importantly is the food inflation. And I think meat has gone up something like 50% in many cases. I mean, I have seen an increase in meat like nothing else. And do you think Labour understand that the more they tax our farmers, the more they make farming an unreasonable option, unviable option in terms of a career, livelihood? The fact that we've lost, I think it's 6,000 farms since Labour took on, means that there's a lot less supply of food. And again, if you know anything about basic economics, the less supply you have and the more demand, that means prices rocket. And do they not? Again, I saw a Labour spokesperson saying, well, it doesn't matter, we'll just buy our food in. Great, you know, let's hope we can still do that in crazy times, and let's see what prices they charge us, our lovely friends across the seas at times, and what state of the food that we are allowed to buy in. But do they not again understand that if you produce more your own and have lots of plentiful supply and seasonal supply and locally sourced supply, the lower prices will be, the more availability there'll be. The better quality there'll be, less shipping there'll be, better for the environment, better for local economies, you know, positive politics. Wouldn't that be nice? 2, what is going on with the NHS? Like our holy grail NHS that again the left wax lyrical about. Like myself, another person has had a horrific situation where they've had blood tests and they've had a 4th year student take the blood. Mine couldn't do it, tried many times, caused really horrific bruising. And my friend who just had theirs done, again, I think 3 or 4 times, and they caused really bad bleeding that wouldn't stop. Like, what's going on with the training of our NHS students? And a friend again was at the hospital the other day, and she said they're going weekly at the minute. And she said the place was disgusting. Like, it didn't look like it had been cleaned in months. And she and her son made a joke saying, oh, those are the same hula hoops we saw the other week on the stairwell. You know, this is a hospital that's really dirty. Isn't cleanliness supposed to be, you know, #1 priority? And yet they seem to have lots of time and money, again, the same hospital, to have rainbows and posters about all sorts of woke nonsense everywhere you look. You know, the amount of money spent on marketing in the NHS, I know firsthand, is an abomination. And I've said before that I've known a marketeer print about 25 grand's worth of material and turn up to the trust only to be told to throw it away because they wanted to change some wording. Yeah, anyway, don't get me on that one. And the guy today who was given a short suspended sentence for basically saying he wanted to kill someone who was burning their own copy of the Quran and was waving a very large knife, trying to stab him multiple times in the street, kicking him, spitting at him, gets a suspended sentence. Meanwhile, we have grannies having police knock on the door. We've got people serving sentences for holding a placard at a protest And yet people still don't think we have two-tier justice system. I think it's an abomination. You know, it's everywhere you look in the UK at the minute. Everywhere's degraded, it's dirty, nothing makes sense. The wrong people seem to get rewarded and the right people seem to get punished. Nothing is working, nothing is making sense. Everything is upside down. And I turned on the radio for just 1 minute and heard some guy, Donica, I think it is, some green hysteric, calling Donald Trump a white supremacist for saying that the whole net zero was a sham. White supremacist? These people are crazy. And I'm sick and tired of living in a world that is bananas. And people go on about how, oh, you can't vote for Nigel Farage, you'll get a UK that looks like Trump's America. What, America that's really patriotic, positive, has people in cabinet that have great experience. Inflation's right down, interest rates are down, record levels of historic investment, zero illegal crime, industry's booming. Oh, shocker. Yeah, we don't want that, do we? Anyway, I'm off to go and feed the birds.